Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Bernie here. We all know that the GH6 has been announced last Monday, February 21st, and that was really exciting. And in this video, I will share with you the things that I like and the things that I don't like so far. So, let's get into it. What I like, The IBIS #1, it's even better. And at 7.5 stops dual IS2. Wow. It will be the undisputed and still the king of IBIS. Amazing job, Panasonic. I'm a big fan of IBIS and I keep saying that I will never ever buy a camera that doesn't have one. After experiencing filming weddings with IBIS, I never looked back. The GH5 and G9's IBIS is amazing, and how much more with the GH6. Next is the ProRes recording in camera. The ability to film in ProRes in camera at 5.7K 30 frames per second is awesome. No more using of an external recorders, and the 5K 30 FPS is 1900 megabits in ProRes, which is insane. Although I don't shoot in 30p, and 24p is my choice, and it'll be 1500 megabits per second, which is crazy still, I am already happy with 150 to 200 Mbps on my GH5 and G9, so how much more if it's 1500 Mbps on the GH6, right? It's mind-blowing. And the 5.7K 60 FPS will be coming soon via a firmware update, as well as ProRes RAW recording to external recorders like the Atomos Ninja 5. Anyway, I love filming in 4K, but this comes in handy if I want to crop a video, let's say, or change the composition without a loss in quality. If there is a loss in quality, it'd be minimal. But I am still not sure about it though, and I'll be able to really test it out if I ever get my hands on one. Also, the ability to transfer footage to Final Cut Pro without transcoding is huge, finally. But here's the thing, and since I film mostly weddings, and I know myself that I will seldom use ProRes and will be using MP4 most of the time to match my other cameras like my GH5, my G9, and my two G7s. But if let's say I am only using one camera and it is the GH6, I would definitely use ProRes all the time to make the most out of this camera. So it's really nice that Panasonic finally added ProRes recording in camera, and can't wait to test it out. Alright, next up is the 1080p at 300 frames per second. It is the 420 VFR recording. VFR meaning variable frame rate. But the AF doesn't work with this one, and there's no audio as well. But for me, I don't mind because this is particularly helpful for my ring shots during weddings, and I will set my settings to 3200 ISO or even 6400 ISO. You know, I used to film my ring shots using the 180 FPS on my GH5. It is great and all, but needs plenty of light. For this one, I will still use lights to get my shots, but the fact that low light has improved, and that to me is already amazing. And speaking of improved low light capabilities, that is the next one on the list. And I've seen some sample footage here on YouTube, and the 6400 ISO is very usable and particularly helpful for wedding receptions, most especially if the location is dark. Although I film with LED lights all the time, sometimes locations change or the programs during receptions change and can bring the LED lights to the new location which doesn't have a lot of light. So this comes in handy, although some mention that it is not as great as the A7S III, but it's good enough that you can use it. In my eyes, it's definitely usable at 6400 ISO, and I can't wait. Alright, next is the articulating screen has been improved. Not only you can flip it, but there's a part that you can tilt as well, so you can make the turn 180 degrees without hitting the mic jack and the HDMI port when both mic and HDMI cables are plugged in, which I think is really neat. Alright, moving on to the next one, the LCD on-screen texts. Is it just me? They were changed and not the same as my GH5 and G9. I believe, it is the same as the GH5 too. And mind you, it looks like it's easier to read now, unlike with the GH5 and G9. Kinda like, you know, the info, they're like all over the place. So this is a welcome addition for me. Yes, I really like that the information are well laid out in both the top and bottom of the LCD screen. Wow, this is really exciting, huh? Still a lot of things that I like, and it's the tally lamp. I like that you can have this on when you're filming, and apparently, you can also adjust how bright you want those tally lights to be. I like the back tally light, but not so much in the front. Although the front one is useful when vlogging, but I for sure will be turning on the tally light in the back on the right side of the camera. And wow, great job Panasonic on adding that one. Really a good addition. Next is the red record button in the front. Wow, finally! On my GH5, whenever I do the talking head video like this one, I have to press record on the top. I believe it's really an odd placement. I really don't like that. But with the GH6, you no longer have to look for it. It's already in the front and very easy to access. Next is the USB-C, and take note that you can now charge in camera. Wow, although it comes with a charger in the box, it's good to know as well that you can now charge on the go. This is particularly helpful if, let's say in my case, after a wedding ceremony shoot and while traveling to a ceremony, or should I say while traveling to a reception location, I can then charge the battery while on the go. It will for sure save me time, but it's always advisable to have spare or extra batteries when filming long hours, most especially when filming weddings. And speaking of USB-C, the other thing that I also like is that you can plug in an SSD drive to record, but it will be available via a future firmware update. This is particularly huge, most especially if you don't want to change cards in the middle of the shoot and if you are filming for longer hours. The only con that I see here is that you have to have some sort of a cage or an SSD holder attached to the hot shoe of the camera, or you will even have to rig it out to hold the SSD. It's great and all, but for a wedding shoot, this will be cumbersome because as for me, I want my gear to be as small as possible since wedding is a run and gun situation. But let's say I will be filming short films or other events like corporate work, then this is a good addition. Alright, last but not the least, the V-Log/the V-Gamut is now included and there's no need to buy it. I haven't filmed and used V-Log L or even the full V-Log at all since I don't really like color grading too much. And color grading is my Achilles heel. Really, that is my weakness. That's why I use LUTs. And I am not ashamed to admit that. And speaking of LUTs, you can now install a .cube file on the GH6 for preview purposes, which is great in my opinion. In addition, on why I don't film in V-Log when filming weddings is because I deliver raw files to my clients. For me, Cine AD is the way to go and will stay filming that way. Since I really like the look of it out of the box and also it's not too flat and can be color graded easily with the help of LUTs, of course. And mind you, my client will appreciate the footage more since it still has some colors unlike V-Log. But it's great that it is now included free of charge and you can easily access it whenever you need it, and who knows, I might use it in the future when I do short films or other stuff. Alright, the GH6 is a great camera from what I've seen, There's a lot of video reviews already online, but there are other stuff that I don't like. And number one is, you know already, the autofocus. Wow. It is still hunting in my eyes. Definitely not as good as the Sonys or Canons. Not even close. So, it's disappointing really. It will be really nice and this will be an instant buy for me if Panasonic only used PDIF or the face detect autofocus and not this DFD or contrast based autofocus. OMG. But the focus test that I've seen so far were from the pre-production model. So we will see what the final firmware can do. Let me tell you now, I still believe that there will be improvements, but I am realistic that it won't be drastic at all. Next on the list is the lack of built-in ND filters. You know, when I did my Sony FX3 video on why I am not going to buy it, it is because of the lack of ND or the lack of built-in ND filters. And here, with the GH6, I would understand that since this is a 3,300 Canadian dollars, and that's including tax, compared to a $5,000 price of the FX3. I would understand if the GH6 doesn't have ND filters built in. Although it's not the end of the world since there are are magnetic NDs nowadays that can be easily attached to the lens. Alright, moving on. As per the videos I've seen, the battery life doesn't last that long and only for about 1 hour and 13 minutes as per Caleb Pike of DSLR Video Shooter. I remember on my GH5 I can film for about 2 hours or so when filming in 4K at 60 FPS, and that's what I love about the GH5, but it isn't the case with the GH6. The solution is to get extra batteries, but again, they will cost a lot. That's the trade-off. The battery is the same as the Panasonic S5, but you can use the batteries of the GH5 and G9 put into the GH6 and you are good to go, but only record limited frame rates and limited functions. And yeah, that's the trade-off with this camera since it has a lot of frame rates to choose from as well as some added functions. So longer battery life is really essential. Next up, there's no dual SD card slot, although it's a minimal annoyance to me since I am really not affected by it since I don't use the record relay and backup recording function on my G9 at all. I don't know why, and really there's no need for me since I use a 128 gig card and rarely have to change cards for a days of wedding footage. But it could be an issue for some who uses the dual record function. As per the videos I've seen online, you can still do the backup or relay recording but with two different cards, and that's the CF Express Type B card and the SD card which is UHS2 type. And also I forgot to mention, and for you to be able to film with let's say 5.7K in 60p and in vlog, you will for sure need the CF Express Type B card, which is not cheap at all. Alright, so we've come to the end of the video. So what is the verdict for me? Will I buy it? My answer is not yet. Alright, I will rent it first when it becomes available here in Canada. I wanted to make sure if it is really for me. And as of now, I am happy with my G9 and my GH5 and still happy with a 4K 60p. But the ability to film in 4K 120 FPS and 1080p at 300 FPS in VFR mode. Wow, we already have a winner, and it is really enticing and mind-blowing for a Micro Four Thirds camera. So, how about you? Did you already pre-order one? On BH Photo, it's already sold out and saying request stock alert. So apparently, a lot of people already pre-ordered one. If you did not pre-order one, are you thinking of buying in the future? If so, what would be your main reason? And now that the GH6 has been officially announced, what is that best feature that you are looking forward to use? Also, do you have additional features of the GH6 that you are looking for and the features that you don't like as well that I forgot to mention? Let me know in the comment section below and let's discuss. Alright, that's about it for this video, and I hope you find it helpful. Give it a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification icon to be notified with more awesome videos. This is Bernie. Until next time, goodbye for now.